We're pleased to be joined now by the Athletic's Matt Schneidman, who hosts the Tundra podcast, our initial 2-minute drill. Let's look big picture first, Matt. How good is this team?
You never want to overreact to 2 games, but I think the Packers are really, really good. You saw last year, obviously, they weren't able to get over the hump and beat a lot of those elite teams in the NFC. Well, 2 of the elite teams in the conference on paper, they just beat pretty handily. I think the Packers defense, you can make the case, is the best in the NFL through the first 2 weeks, even though the games haven't finished yet. And I think Jordan Love and the offense are still leaving some plays out there, and they're still winning games by a lot of points. So they're really good, a legitimate Super Bowl threat, backing up what we thought of them on paper after the Micah Parsons trade.
Yeah, let's go to this Commanders game first. What unit or anything impressed you the most in that game?
The pass rush, and specifically keeping Jaden Daniels in the pocket. I know it's a young career, but they held him to the second fewest rushing yards in that young career. 7 carries for 17 yards. He made himself a runner on 2 other plays, and they sacked him on both plays. So in total, 9 times he made himself a runner for 14 yards. That's incredible. He was second in the NFL last year in quarterback rushing yards to Lamar Jackson. The way this defense swarms to the ball, always has a backup plan in case they miss a tackle, and of course Micah Parsons doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's a segue to this next one. How much higher is this team ceiling with him on the team now that you've seen it through 2 games?
Yeah, he's as advertised. I know he only has, a sack and a half, but he's creating opportunities for other guys if he's not making them himself on every single play, almost. That's an exaggeration, but it seems like it. I mean, he's eating up double teams and triple teams and freeing up one-on-ones for other guys. They're scheming up one-on-ones for him. He is an elite pass rusher, the sense of the word, and they are a legitimate contender because of him. I don't think they were before that.
I would agree with you. Do you think the Jaden Reed injury affects this team a lot, a little, or not at all?
A little, I think. They have receiver depth, and this is where we're going to see how legitimate it is. Jaden Reed's a really good receiver. You can make the case he is the team's most important receiver because of everything he can do in that facet of the game. Now that depth is going to be tested, especially with Christian Watson already out. So now it's Golden, Malik Heath, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks as your top 4. I don't want to say it doesn't affect the team at all because Jaden Reed was one of their most productive guys through the time that he played this season, but I think they have the guys to compensate for that loss.
They've looked really good through 2 weeks, so it's not even negative because I think this is actually a tough answer. What's their biggest weakness right now?
I would still say the offensive line depth. You can't really pinpoint a glaring weakness right now, but Luke Butkus, the O-line coach, said a couple weeks ago he didn't like where the depth was on the O-line. Then they go out and trade for Darian Kinnard. I've actually been pleasantly surprised by that depth through the first 2 games because guys like Anthony Belton, Jordan Morgan, Darian Kinnard have all had to play a significant amount through the first 2 games. Well, going into next week, really the only thing you need to be concerned about with the Cleveland Browns is Myles Garrett. And he's probably going to be going up against Anthony Belton or Darian Kinnard, so that depth is going to be tested even more.
We heard that it's a torn oblique, I believe, right, for Zach Tom? Or
I think so. That's what Tom Silverstein reported, yeah.
Is that concerning?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be out, but Zach Tom is a Pro Bowl caliber talent. And like I just said, going up against Myles Garrett, that takes away an elite offensive lineman to block one of the premier pass rushers in this league. We talk about Micah Parsons going up against a rookie right tackle on the Commanders. Could be Myles Garrett going up against a rookie right tackle for the Packers. So it's huge. We'll reserve judgment on how huge it is until we know how long Zach Tom is out for. But it's unfortunate for the Packers because he got hurt in kind of some friendly fire when Aiden Hutchinson leveled Jordan Love on that pick 6 that wasn't, and he just fell into his right tackle.
With all the talk about the defense, it feels like Jordan Love's kind of flying under the radar. He's played good, not great. What have you seen from him through 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would put his level of play at slightly above average. He is a game manager, or has been through the first 2 games, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I know a lot of people think that phrase is that, but you know, he can sling it. He's taking chances. He averaged over 14 air yards per target last game. You're not going to find a lot of quarterbacks that do that throughout the league, and they want him to stay aggressive. He's been fortunate to not have a couple passes picked off, but I think Jordan Love isn't going to have to carry the team on his right arm this year because of how good the defense is, because of the strength of the running game. Whereas a couple of years ago, the second half of that 2023 season, it seemed like that's what he was going to have to do. So if he can just not make backbreaking mistakes, which I think he's capable of doing, then I think this team is going to be really well set up. But I think he's played well these first 2 games, and that's even with some opportunities left out on the table.
This is looking obviously far into the future. Will the Packers be undefeated going into that Sunday night football game in Pittsburgh against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?
So let's go through who they play until
Browns.
then. The Browns,
Yes.
I think they'll win that game.
Dallas.
Cowboys, I think they'll win that game.
They'll be fired up for that game, but I agree with you.
Bengals, Joe Burrow went down with
They don't have a
an injury
defense
today.
anyways.
They don't have a defense anyway. I think the Packers win that game. Cardinals, I think they win that game. And then it's the Steelers after that.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. I'll probably be wrong because
I agree with
the
you.
NFL season just trips you up when you least expect
Yeah.
it. But I'm going to say yes.
I think, honestly, the team that might trip them up the most is the Cardinals, just because they're, maybe not, who knows. Is this, what year did you start on the beat?
2019.
Is this the best Packers team that you have covered? Again, caveat, it's 2 games in.
2 games in. I think they have the potential to be. That's my cop-out answer. If I had to pick one of the past 6 Packers teams for the best one, I would say 2020, because they got the 1 seed that year. That was the COVID year. They host the NFC Championship game against the Buccaneers with a couple hundred fans in the stands. I still think if David Bakhtiari doesn't tear his ACL in practice ahead of their last regular season game against the Bears, they win the Super Bowl that year. Because if you think about it, and I'm getting real deep in the weeds here, Jair Alexander picks off Tom Brady twice in the second half. The Buccaneers pass rush gets home on those 2 ensuing drives. I don't think the Packers scored any points off those 2 drives after those interceptions. David Bakhtiari wasn't in there. Jason Pierre-Paul was all over the place. And then the Buccaneers go and beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So that is, I think, of the last, 2 decades of Packers football, probably the second biggest what if, behind Brandon Bostic recovering the onside kick. What if David Bakhtiari doesn't tear his ACL? So I'm going to go 2020, but this 2025 team has the potential to top that.
Is this the year Matt LaFleur finally wins Coach of the Year?
I don't know about that because, look, it was always he had Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to win it. If the defense is the strength of this year's team, then it's, Jeff Hafley's done a great job. That's not what Matt LaFleur does. So they'll always find something to discredit him for. He's a very good coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he the coach to get the Packers from a really good team to a great team that can win a championship? That remains to be seen. But if the defense ends up being this team's calling card throughout the season, I don't think he wins it.
You just think then that Jeff Hafley has a head coaching job next year somewhere
He'll
else.
be coaching the Dolphins by week 5, if that was allowed. Put that online. I made him laugh for a while.
That's Matt Schneidman, the Athletic and The Tundra podcast. This is the 2-Minute Drill.